Hello and welcome to BG Podcast, episode 252. I'm AJ Bingham, founder and CEO of Bingham Group, and joining me is co-host and associate Hannah Garcia.
Hello, everybody.
As always, we'll be reviewing the prior week in Austin politics. So this will be for the week of May 13th, as well as what's up for the week ahead for May 20th. Hannah, big week last week. As we've talked about in prior shows, big week had four major land code items up at council on Thursday. All passed after a marathon session on Thursday. Let's review that. So for a recap for those who aren't aware what's been going on at City Hall lately on LDC, Land Development Code, Hannah, what do you got for us?
Yeah, so on Thursday, it was the end of the process for a very hefty and progressive land development code amendments that the city of Austin was pushing, and these include the ETOD, which is the Equitable Transit Overlay, in relation to the Project Connect line, as well as compatibility, which is how close tall buildings, essentially, buildings that are considered like skyscrapers can be next to single family homes, as well as an EV charging amendment, which would allow for a zoning category for electric vehicle charging. And finally, home phase two, which would decrease the minimum lot size from 5,750 to about 1,800 square feet. So these were pretty contentious, I would say, controversial among Austinites. There was about 36 hours of testimony that
Mm-hmm.
were slated to be heard on Thursday. So that was about 200 people signed up per item. And it was a long day. Council gavelled in at 10 a.m. and finished at about 1 a.m. that night.
Yes, which was, I think, it was a very long night for council, but in the span of things of this his last year and a half, but this current council has been on the dais. I mean, in prior years, that would have been the norm, right? So
Mhm.
again, for those who aren't avid council watchers like Hannah and myself, um, I mean, this is, I think the longest meeting they had prior to this one was probably about 9 o'clock.
Yes.
And that was on one item. So I think it's telling, I mean, you go ahead, Hannah, you got something to
Yeah,
say.
and that was once again, it was public testimony that made it such a long meeting. This isn't like councils like, talking themselves to death. They're just listening to the community.
Very, very well said. Very well put. And yeah, I think we both were Hannah and I were both there at council on Thursday and Friday to we don't have any client issues in those discussions, but we definitely enjoy seeing the public actively engage on issues such as this, and there are folks on both sides of it. Very robust and passionate testimony and talking points, and I think. Yeah, it was a long night, and I think I'm sure more will come out of this. There's some good write-ups for the Austin Monitor about and the NKUT about these. We'll have those in the show notes. But I think that was as we close in on the final meeting of council before they go in summer recess. Um, Fitting, right? Kind of
Hmm.
on it, right? It wasn't pushed out. They didn't push it in the fall. And I think just again observing this council as they come in since they were sworn in January of 23, they've been very productive, right? You can love them or hate them for it, but they've been very productive, I believe, from the dais in terms of both bringing forward challenging pieces of legislation or of ordinances and resolutions, and on seeing them through um, in a timely fashion, while still, I believe, hearing the public, taking testimony, but at the end of the day, making the votes,
Yes,
which is
yes.
ultimately how we want them to do. I don't think we want, this is my personal opinion, but uh, things being passed down and resolutions that don't go anywhere don't benefit anyone as a city. But that's my view. My personal opinion, not being Bruce's opinion. And then, so continuing on, though, we got through those, and also news of police chief search is up and running. So
Yeah.
again, this was something that was the top priority for our new city manager, TC Broadnax, when he came into to assumed office, or start his first day, not assumed because he's an employee, when he started on Monday, May 6th, about just 2 weeks ago. So this was on his first day, his top priority. The job posting from the city of Austin went live on Wednesday, and I believe it will be up until June 6th or the 10th. I'm checking right now again to verify that. Um, it'll be up until so it'll be up until let's see, June, June. Yeah, sorry, Monday, June 10th. It's no later than Monday, June 10th. The search is being conducted by Mosaic Partners, which was the same firm that the city contracted with for its city manager search. So just based going off that, I mean that search started in earnest in October of last year. Um, it was overall relative to past city manager searches, which we've had now, not that many. It was very quick, all things considered. And I think more so, well, once the candidates were the finalists were brought forward by to council, their decisions happen pretty quickly. So similarly, there will be community engagement on this, but I don't see. I mean, it ultimately depends on the candidate pool. But if it closes on the 10th, council doesn't come back into formal session until July 12th for the draft or the budget draft viewing. I could see a decision being made. What do you think, Hannah? Like by August?
Yeah, maybe sooner.
Maybe that's true. Maybe soon, right? I think again, if this had been prior years, prior council, I think we would have seen maybe a lengthier process. I think this council is a lot more deliberate, or not. I think just they've been, relatively speaking, more deliberate and action oriented in getting it done. So I think also ultimately right depends on the candidate pool as well. I think that
Yeah.
as this is as important, certain reasons, but as important as the city manager, and definitely the city manager is the one who is ultimately going to have to hire this person. So it really rests on him. Council will have a view on it too, but this is the city manager's pick. And I know he, at least from what we've heard, will be allowing council. Speaking of that, we had the chance last week as well to attend a formal reception for Mr. Rodnex, hosted by the Austin Chamber, amongst other chamber organizations. And so, based off that, I won't recap everything that was said, but from what I heard, Hannah, I love your opinion on this. It definitely seems that he has, from his own words, an orientation of aligning with council, of leadership, but also recognizing council's place and at the forefront of the public. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I agree. I think he's coming with really good perspective. Especially considering our past issues with city managers and their relationship to council and the mayor. He's coming in with a great idea, kind of how if those communications and those relationships break down, it can really affect how policy is executed and lead to some issues. So I think we're going to have a similar city manager council mayor dynamic as we've had with the interim city manager, and just that they're committed to getting things done, and it's less about how everybody feels and about how the small minute details, and more about just getting something done and making sure it's done well.
Yes, thoughtfully so. And I think, to that point about having a working relationship with your council, I mean, it's been publicized well, and Mr. Broadox definitely gets that just from his past experience with City of Dallas Mayor Johnson. So I think those lessons will benefit Austin. Those experiences, rather, and lessons too, will benefit Austin as we go forward in the future. And again, we wish him well. Again, that role is the CEO of the city. Him doing well affects all of us. So we should all hope he's as effective as he needs to be for his job. I believe he will be. And then continuing on to this week, we have several council committee meetings. Audit and finance will meet on Wednesday, the 22nd, as well as there's a joint special called meeting, the Housing and Planning Committee with the Public Health Committee on Wednesday, and then closing it out on Thursday, May 24th, Mobility Committee will be meeting. And then moving on to the next week on the horizon, the following Thursday, May 30th, council has 100, as of 2 o'clock today on May 20th, council has posted a 159 item agenda. We'll have a link to that in the show notes. And it's pretty lengthy. I'm sure some of those items, I know some of those items are being consent. One item of note that I caught, Hannah, I don't know if you had a chance to look at it yet, was item 115. And I'll read the caption, but it is to approve a resolution directing the city manager to initiate new programs streamline processes, and build on the city's existing resources to ensure the recently adopted amendments to the City Code Title 25 and Land Development Code regarding regulations for housing units, also known as home, are accessible to low and moderate income homeowners and helping minimize the impacts of displacement. So this was the sponsors on this include the full body of, that's not true. It includes Councilmember Velasquez, Mayor Pro Tem Poole, and council members Fuentes, Vela, and Harvard Madison. We'll link that in the show notes, but yeah, it'll be a link to the agenda. So we'll have more thoughts on this next Monday as the agenda becomes finalized this week. But that's our show for today. Hannah, any other thoughts you want to share?
It's starting to get hot out again, so everyone drink some water.
Oh, that yes. I'll always drink water. Always drink water, and remember to breathe too. All right. Well, y'all have a great rest of the day and a great week. Take care.
All right, bye everyone.